each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
And we're here. Yeah. Hi, Michelle. Let's see ya. Yeah. So I got how many cards, right? And this is why if you use ChatGPT, you've got to check everything. And I didn't do that. The front looks okay. The back's all right. Except it says trudgingtogether.ggmail.com. And I forgot to put my website on it. So, I don't know. Can't return them either. Because they'll just be like, oh, well, don't you verified the proof. So, yeah, I'm just sitting here waiting for my packages to get here. Trying to have a little bit of delayed gratification in my life. Not working very well. Not supposed to be here till 4:45. At least that's what I said. Yeah. We're arriving between 4:45 and 8:45. Remember when it used to take weeks to get something? I fall into it too, you know. I want what I want, and I want it right now. What was that, J.G. Wentworth? I want my money, and I want it now. That's not how it goes. What is the slogan from that? Man, I don't remember. Let's get a different one in your head. 1-800-CARS for kids. 1-800-CARS for kids. My baloney has a first name, O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name, it's M-I-W-E-R. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me, well, I'll say, and I will say that Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A. That was a song my grandma always wanted me to sing to her when I was a kid. I sang in a couple weddings when I was a kid. I don't have the best voice, but it's all right. It's all right. It doesn't make dogs howl, right? So at least that's something. 2:00 meeting went well. It was a meeting. People needed help. They got it. That meeting seems to attract newcomers for some reason. I think it's the time because they're home, they're hungover, they need to go to a meeting. Right. I got to wear my new shoe out today. I didn't get to wear both because I'm still in this boot. I tried to put on a shoe, but my toe said, no. Today we're going to talk about discernment. There we go. Okay, good. We're going to talk about discernment today, or in this one. Not, but during this one, yeah. Welcome to Daily Trudge, Dion. Host, most, Neon. If you can figure that out and you have dyslexia, it shouldn't be hard for you. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Why don't we throw in a joke here? Let's throw in a joke here. Did you hear about the dyslexic atheist who did not believe in dog? Michelle's, I used to leave that as a message to one friend. I was known by them as Oscar. Good stuff. Funny stuff. Gotta have fun, right? Gotta have fun. But we're going to talk about discernment, right? That's what we're here for. You know. So did I grab the wrong one? No, I did not. Okay, so even in my sobriety, my mind can sound like a committee meeting where everybody's talking and nobody's listening. Discernment is learning to tell which voice belongs to my higher power and which one just wants a shortcut. All right. Now, if you're hearing voices, okay, go to a doctor. For God's sakes. Okay? God has never spoken right to me. I've never heard the voice of God. I have felt it. Okay. And that is discernment, but ChatGPT got it a little wrong. That's all right. We can work with it. All right. But in a sense, it is. But we're going to call it intuition. I feel like I'm supposed to pick up this call. There we go. I'll call you right back. Okay. I don't know why, but I think I'm supposed to pick up that phone call. 8334 8334. I bet it's Signal. I bet it is Signal. Nope. No, it was not. Okay. I don't know who it was. For some reason, it's just it. There's something about that phone number that seems like I was supposed to pick it up. Circle IT. Amazon Web Services. Oh, I got a call back. I told you I was waiting on my computer, so I'm sorry. This is discernment. I made a choice to call them back real quick. So while it is ringing, talk a little bit more, right, on what discernment is. Oh, it was our attorney. That's who it was. Okay. That means he's just going to call Shannon. So, all right. All right. Wife got in a car accident. This was like 3 years ago now. And the insurance company is just still screwing around. We got the money for the car, but there was other damages, and that's been going on for a while. So I'll just find out what happened with for my wife. If he calls back, I may need to just end real quick, and so all right. So discernment is the ability to perceive, understand, and judge things clearly, especially by recognizing small differences and making good judgment. It involves a skill in understanding what is obscure, a sharp perception of character or motives, and the capacity to differentiate the truth and error, or right or wrong. In spiritual contexts, it is a practice of seeking divine guidance. All right. So we're looking for what's called the truth. What's the truth in all of this? We're looking for the right information, right? Now, earlier, I talked about this a little bit. I call it, there's a third option, right? I talked about it a little bit. And this goes along with it. Anything that's spiritual kind of fits into the other stuff, right? So we often practice seeking divine guidance, often through prayer and reflection, to understand a situation or make a decision in alignment with a higher will, okay? Or in line with the principles that I am now living by, okay? And we do this often. Maybe you're going through a problem, you take it to your sponsor. Maybe you have a therapist, right? Like there was something that's going on between somebody, between me and an important person in my life, and it just seems like there's a lot of misunderstanding between us. I took that to my therapist. I'm like, it would be a good idea maybe go to counseling with this person so we have a third party. Or see, the difference is, number one, that I'm not thinking about just me. Before, My discernment was wrong because I was only thinking about me and what would happen to Dion if I took this action. Now that I have a little bit of discernment, I think of my friends, I think of my family, I think of my community. I think of my community. Okay. And if it's going to affect any of these, then I need to figure out, well, is it a good effect or is it a bad effect? And this is going to help me make a good decision. So discernment is really just good decision making, proper decision making. This guy, but it involves a lot of different things, right? And you may think that you don't have some of these things, but I've never met an alcoholic who couldn't differentiate. Okay, we'll put it this way: we're bullshit detectors. We are. I know bullshit as soon as I hear it, right? And even then, sometimes I mean people and they buy like. I heard somebody say once that they played at the White House. I looked it up. Bullshit. It was not true. That stuff is recorded, man. It just wasn't true. They were trying to fluff themselves up to be something bigger. All right. Everybody. So don't just buy stuff because how do you know an alcoholic? Here's the line. How do you know an alcoholic is lying? Well, his lips are moving, right? And alcoholics do what? I am just as guilty at embellishing stories. Oh boy, do I love to embellish stories, but it's fun, right? But to me, I'm like, well, you should know that I'm doing that. But when you're somebody that people hear the truth from you a lot, you can't really do that anymore. So now when I tell a story, if I'm embellishing it, I say something. I'm like, I'm embellishing this story to make it a little bit more interesting, just so you know. All right. So it's about perception. It's about perception and understanding. Maybe that somebody is going through something that you don't realize. It is the ability to see beyond the obvious, to grasp a deeper meaning, appreciate subtle differences, and understand the underlying truth of the situation. What else is this? Well, it's a form of empathy. All right. It's your gut. Your intuition is your empathy. It lies in the same place. At least mine does. My empathy is in my stomach. And man, it's like a spidey sense. When something is wrong, it's probably wrong. If something is too good to be true, it's too good to be true, right? It's the same thing, right? So discernment is learning to tell which voice belongs to the higher power and which one wants a shortcut. Now we can understand that a little bit better, right? Now, we may not be hearing God's voice, but what we do is we go to meetings. We have these different people in our lives that God does what? Well, he speaks through his children. God speaks through me. I am a vessel. That's the way that I see it. Okay. What else could we define it as? My will or God's will? Right. Just this week, I went through this, and I'll tell you what. Oh, hi, Amber. Amber. She's like, oh, I have arrived. You're so funny. It's these jokes between me and Amber, because I told her I'm going live at 3. She's like, I always miss the 2. I'm like, well, maybe your day will be better when you have a live at 3:45. It's like, no, my day was good. And that's when the bell rings. And I said, well, you better run fast. So I'm glad that you were here, right? So at New Computer, my wife came to me the other day. She said, need a new computer. Let's go get you one. And I rushed it because I wanted what I wanted, but I wanted it now. I was not willing to wait. And that right there, okay. So what happened? Well, I went and bought a computer, but I also sent my little brother a message because I used to know computers really well, but he's doing a whole IT thing right now. I'm like, he's on top of it. Not only that, but we're trying to repair our relationship. And I figure if I ask him, he'll be like, oh, my older brother appreciates what I have to say about it, right? So it's twofold. But I wasn't willing to wait. So I went to Best Buy, got a computer, was about $450 more than I really wanted to spend. All right. Well, I brought the first one back. It didn't work. And then my brother sent me one, and he's like, a really good computer, exactly what I needed. Right. But so I returned the other one, and now I'm waiting. But then we had to do a return, then we had to call Best Buy so we can get because we bought the warranty with it, right? So we had to go through that. So now we're waiting for the money to come back. So see how it created a bunch more confusion that didn't need to happen. It didn't need to happen. And then beyond it, they kept declining it. Because they're like, well, you just bought a computer, then a computer. This looks suspicious. We're not going to let it go through. So I had to deal with that. See, I was not using my discernment. I knew it was better to wait, to do a little bit more digging. But I thought, well, my intuition's pretty good with this stuff. I work with electronics all the time. I was incorrect. It's a great example of what we're talking about here. All right. So what else is it? Well, usually you can tell the difference because my voice tends to scream and God talks more in a whisper. My voice is loud, even inside my head. Okay. But when it's God talking, it comes across more like this. Right. I'll repeat again, your intuition and your discernment, they sit in the same place. Right. It's okay to ask yourself a couple of questions before you make a move. My will says, let's fix this now. And God says, Dion, sit down. Would you just sit down and relax? I got this covered, man. Oh, but I want to go stick my sticky little fingers in it. And I want to do this and I want to do that because I want what I want and I want it now. I have a cash settlement and I want it now. I'm going to remember that line from J.G. Wentworth eventually. Okay. It's going to take skill. Discernment is earned. It is not just, you don't just have it, right? You don't just have it. Amber says, maybe you should pray for patience. Oh, I pray for patience every time you show up, honey. LMAO, just kidding. I know. I am never going to pray for patience. Pray for patience. Because then God puts somebody in your life to teach you patience. No. But you're funny. So it does take some skill. It is the quality of being able to make wise, objective, and accurate judgments, often by sifting through information to distinguish between what is true and what is not. So you might need to do a little bit of investigating. In this case, I did not do enough investigating first. And like Amber was saying, I didn't have the patience, right? I wanted what I wanted. And what is that? Well, it's old behavior. And when it's old behavior, look what happened. It went the wrong way. Amber says, fucking pray. Okay, fine. God, please give Amber some patience. All right. You're making this too fun. I'm going to go way off topic if you keep up. Right? So we have to practice. To practice prayer, meditation, talking to others, and like Amber is saying, slow down. Slow down and smell the roses. You don't have to make that decision right now. It doesn't need to happen, right? So it's not a gift you get overnight. It doesn't just happen. It's a skill you build by making mistakes and then learning to listen, right? So your discernment also gets, well, you learn more for your discernment by failing. In this case, okay, if I'm back in that situation again, I know, just wait for your brother's text. He'll get to you when God is supposed to get to you. Okay. Have a little patience. You'll get what you get when you're supposed to get it. Right. So now I've learned that lesson. I did learn a lesson from it. Absolutely, I did. Right. Now I'm looking for a printer. Truth and falsehood, a central component of the ability to evaluate information, people to separate what is good and what from what is evil, or what is right from what is wrong. All right. Now, here's the thing, and this is why your discernment is a big deal. Okay, because we had to go out of our way. Restream chat, so messages connection reconnecting. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm gonna check something here. Gotta check it. It's doing it right now. Oh, my memory's at 43%. So I'm gonna boink. Okay, print screen. That's all I need to do. There we go. Okay. And it happened at about 2100. Let me write that down. 2115. Okay. Thank you for letting me do that. I appreciate it. But we had to go out of our way to figure out what was right or wrong. I did. So this discernment really came down to, well, what is it? We do our best to not be contempt prior to investigation anymore. All right. And I'm going to give a good example of everything that's going on right now. SNAP benefits. Okay. And I have snaps. Snap. I'm so snappy. Snappy, snap. Right. And we got an email, and it said SNAP will be delayed, but you will get it. But I see everybody run on, oh, SNAP's going to be cut off. And, what we need to do is we need to pull together, buy everybody Thanksgiving dinner and say, no, that is being done out of fear. The truth is something else. It might, who knows, maybe November comes and I don't see it. But at the moment, that's not what I'm being told. The information I'm getting is kind of opposite. Right? I might be wrong. Maybe these other people are right. All right. But I'm trying to figure out the truth from the false here. All right. And it's hard. All right. Get out to those food banks. If you need to utilize a food bank, get over your ego, man. Go get it. It's all right. They're there to help. Well, sorry, my lazy eye just did something really weird. Michelle says, I've had a printer for a couple months now, and I just don't want to deal with it. I've been trying to help you set your camera. We're still working on that. Maybe I can help you set up your printer too, Michelle. I'm pretty good at that. But don't you guys people run around telling people that I know how to fix that stuff. All right. Because then everybody asks me and no. All right. There's a spiritual context to all of this. All right. In spiritual traditions, discernment is the practice of seeking divine guidance for decisions, often involving prayer, scriptural study, and the reflection to understand a calling or the will of God. That felt a little too religion-y for me. Oh, I think I got a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah, I'm kidding. I'm Mr. Witty today for some reason. I don't know what happened, but I'm in a great mood. Feels like a weight has been lifted. Right. But yeah, and I've already talked about this already. I've kind of covered this, so I'm not going to beat that one into the round, right? Contrast with judgment. Amber says the people posting about it on my feed have never been on food stamps. How would they know? That's kind of what I was getting to, but I didn't want to call people out. But yeah, you're right. They're not on food stamps. So right, what do you know? And for anybody that has a problem with me being on food stamps, well, you can go talk to your sponsor. I know nobody here has a problem with it. All right. But I utilize SNAP benefits. I give almost all of my time to the community. So I've earned those benefits. Yeah. I'm not sitting around doing nothing. What I'm doing is I'm helping save your children, which I think is worth, a couple $100 a month for food. So I'm also in a good mood, even being, are you sick again? Or are you still sick? Huh. Well, I hope you feel better. So contrast with judgment. While similar, discernment is often distinguished from judgment by its focus on perception and seeking guidance rather than making a final, sometimes premature decision about people or situations, like buying a computer. Discernment does not involve judgment, not in the way that we judge other people. All right. Michelle says, nope, I get snapped to $24. I think you read. They're not giving you very much. What are you buying with $24? 2 loaves of bread, a dozen eggs, and some bread. That'll get you to $12, right? So here's another big way to figure it out. Okay, so discernment comes with, and this is true, that these are the true signs of guidance. Okay, peace, clarity, patience versus peer pressure and ego, and the difference between those two, right? So that's a good way to figure out if I'm been discernment. Do I have fear around this, and am I trying to push it the way that I want it to go? So here's the key: if you have to force it, it's not spiritual. If you have to force the situation, it's not the spiritual way. It's probably not the right way. We go right back to the computer. I pushed it. I pushed it to the point where we are even going to spend an extra $450 right now. I'm saying snap, and I'm talking about buying computers. Let me catch you up. My wife and I weren't paid for 10 months this year. So we had got a chunk of money that we would have been spending throughout the year. So that's why I have a little bit of money. So I want to hear it from people. So, all right. Amber says, and they've never had a parent that sold their stamps for other shit. I would never do that. I would never, ever do that. Even while I was drinking, to get alcohol. Yeah, the fuck I would. Yeah, I would have sold my stamps for alcohol. Damn it. See? So easy to lie. Correct it right away. So if you have to force it, it is not spiritual. Discernment is what keeps us sober, not just from the drink, but from our own bad ideas. Right? That's why we need to say things out loud. That's why it's important we talk to another person. Have you ever had a great idea and it came out of your mouth and you regretted saying it? Yes, it's happened to you. It's happened to every person in the world. Okay. There are times when I bring up an idea, it comes out of my mouth. I'm like, strike that. No, that's no good. I do it here. It happens to me here all the time. You'll hear me say, no, that was a bad example, or, that wasn't the best way to do that. Things like that. Yeah, that's discernment. Hey, I said the right thing. I said the wrong thing. Let's make it right. There's sometimes when I get it wrong and somebody in the chat will say something. That's okay too. We're just looking for the truth. We want what's right because we spent all of our lives doing it wrong. And we don't want to live that life anymore, right? So how is discernment used? Number one, is used in decision making. It helps in making difficult choices by allowing for a more thorough and wise evaluation of different options. All right. Now, if you need to make a decision between 1 and 2, I'll give you a little trick you can use. Right? If you can't make up your mind, flip a coin. Okay. If it lands and you're like, let's flip again, you have your answer. If you're satisfied with the flip, you have your answer. Okay? It's a great way. But if you're like, that's 2 out of 3, you already have your answer. There you go. All right. It was when Amber says it was when my mom was drinking and a little after too. Okay. I'm not going to hold judgment there. Right? Because I understand that. Yeah, I do. The desperation. You bet. I would have sold any of your shit for a drink. Any of it, because I didn't have anything. I already sold all my shit for the alcohol. And, and everything I had just wasn't worth anything at the pawn shop either. Yeah, give me a quarter. The best I could do. All right. What else is discernment used for? Self-improvement. It can be used to gain a better understanding of one's own motives and flaws, allowing for personal growth. Big one there. Motives. What is my motive? Okay. Am I causing more confusion than harmony? It's a great question. If I do this, will it cause more confusion than harmony? Will it create division, angst, things like that? And that goes back to thinking of everybody involved. Okay. Evaluating information, it provides the ability to analyze and examine information and teachings to determine their validity, especially important in avoiding false teachings. Right now in recovery, there's a bunch of false teachings. I'm doing my best not to really bring it, but I need to, I'm here about education. Okay. And there is a lot of people out there with false teachings. Now, the only reason I get a little weird or we'll call it passionate. Okay, we'll call it what it is. Angry. Okay. Is because misinformation in recovery has the power to kill. Okay? Has the power to kill. If you're running around thinking you know better, you might lead somebody to death. Oh, that's not me. They decided to drink. Your ego is too big, man. No, you had an action in that. You had an action in that. And there's a consequence to it. Amber says, technically, she did sell all my shit. She stopped paying storage and didn't tell me, and we lost our stuff. I'm sorry, Amber. That sucks. That sucks. Yeah. Yeah. My parents were different. I had everything that I could ever need or want growing up. We were upper middle class, white suburban until I was about 13. So I'm sorry, Amber. That stinks. It makes me a little sad. That's why I'm stopping, man. It makes me sad because Amber is like a sister to me. And, I know it's in the past, but when people fuck with my family, I get a little, well, let's just say discernment goes out the window. Spiritual guidance. Many spiritual practices involve formal processes of discernment to help an individual or community identify a spiritual path or call. Just real quick, what does it mean when a person has discernment? When a person has discernment, they have the ability to understand things clearly, make sound judgments based on keen perceptions and insights, right? So, closing thoughts here. Discernment is what keeps us sober, not just from the drink, but from our own bad ideas. So when in doubt, pause. God's never in a hurry. Only we are. We are the ones that are in a hurry. I gotta go. Don't you know how important I am? Well, you get out of the way. I've got to get to work. I'm late because I stayed up late last night. And even though I'm paying the consequences of my own actions, you're in my way. All right. So then Amber says, I'm blessed to have an amazing father. Good follow-up. I do. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that too. So, all right. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and keep on trudging.